Hey there, it's Heather Smith with BarrelRacingTips.com. Welcome to this episode of Pistol's Progress. This morning was officially Pistol's 8th session, so I'm super excited to share with you a couple of little tips that came to me during a session. There's .com there, just chillaxing in the background. It's actually drizzling a little bit here in Texas. Otherwise, I would be outside, but I just turned Pistol loose in the arena. They love to eat the little bit of grass around the edge. So, hey Katie, so glad to have you joining me. Hey Lauren, so yeah, I would love those of you tuning in to say hello. It's so awesome to hear from you. And this can officially serve as our Monday morning check-in. So, I would love to hear, how did the weekend go? Did you ride or run? What were some things? I want you to tell me something, a win, or something you learned. And I mean, that's a win. Learning is a win. So anyway, this morning I wanted to share with you a reminder that I had during my session with Pistol. And if you've been following .com and I and Craig and Pistol, you'll know that Pistol and .com are like polar opposite night and day personalities. And it has been a long journey, like creating a real authentic calmness and relaxation and emotional fitness in .com. And part of the reason that he maybe struggles in that area is that by nature he is just so much more sensitive. And that's part of what makes him such an amazing athlete. But what also, when it comes to being a time speed event horse, he requires a little bit more careful handling and maintenance as far as keeping him together mentally and emotionally. Good morning, Elizabeth. Love seeing all your comments. Awesome. So, and then on the other hand, Pistol has a more laid-back attitude. And so it's like, I have to really be on my toes to keep him super light and responsive, but he's a little easier to maintain mentally and emotionally. There's my buzzer again from Equitrap. So anyway, so what I was saying is that this morning, like right now with what my schedule looks like, I'm able to do 3 sessions a week on Pistol, which is kind of the absolute minimum. If I had like really, really huge goals and I would be doing more like 5 sessions a week to really, really be progressive. And just based on the projects we have going on, the other horse stuff we have going on, and everything, that's what I'm able to do with Pistol. Minimum the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that I'm able to tune in with you, and then on the weekends as I'm able. And so, anyway, it's not like I feel like I have to make a lot of progress on those 3 sessions, right? So, my goal is for him, like I have specific goals for shaping and teaching him to become an even better mover. And so I really like to, the ideal is to kind of pick up where I left off in the last session, right? That's in a perfect world, that's what we would like to do. But understandably, after several days off, we're gonna revisit things a little bit. If we feel like we're having to start like all over, then it's really important that we look closely at ourselves and make sure that in the process of teaching our horse these new ways of thinking and being and moving, that we're not inadvertently like undoing the very things that we're teaching him. So that's one thing that came to mind. I'm like, Heather, be aware, are there some ways that you're not being quite consistent enough? So I thought about how I want Pistol to be really on the ball about accelerating and transitioning upward just when I barely raise my energy and raise my hand. And then I thought to myself, I caught myself when I was asking for a change of direction, like putting my hand like way up in the air, which is something that has the potential to just create confusion for him and a mixed message. So we have to always look to ourselves first and be super accountable. And so the thing is, too, that I didn't immediately think of is that, so I had to go to like phase 4 and get kind of sharp and firm to inspire Pistol to be like, hey, when I ask you, it needs to be now. And I can do that with a smile on my face. And that really, like our attitude, it really helps them avoid developing resentment or avoidance. But of course he's a little bit like, oh, gee, you know. And so then I lose some of the mental connection. And it's the same thing, like if we have to get really firm with our horse and then to get the level of responsiveness we want, and then they get a little miffed about it, and maybe they're oversensitized now, right? So then we have to go back and like desensitize them in a sense to be like, hey, look, there's a difference between meaningful and meaningless activity. And so a lot of times when we create that super sharp responsiveness, then we go too far the other direction, and then we have to go back and create some balance. So basically in the process of getting that sharp responsiveness I wanted, I lost some of the mental connection, where he's just like, his eyes they have a little bit of a worried, you know, eyebrow, and he puts a little more tension on the rope, and he's like, you know what, Heather, I would really rather be somewhere else right now. And it wasn't like extreme, but I'm like, okay. What I needed to do was to go back and, like I said, where I left off last week, I was kind of shocked and surprised in our figure eights that he wasn't as connected in them to the left. And so I thought, you know what, based on that, and based on, now that I've got him super responsive, you know what, the rest of this session, I'm just going to restore his relaxation. I'm going to restore his mental connection. I'm just going to get him moving loose and long and low, and I'm going to kind of let go of my bigger, broader goal of getting him like really elevated and strong and powerful and flex at the pole and everything. You know, like, I'm like, we can do that next session. But today I'm going to go back to ground zero, because you have to have those foundational elements. And at any time that you lose them, if you don't recognize it and go back and strengthen them again, then it's just going to be this never-ending cycle of frustration where you're never actually going to get to where you want to go. And so just relaxation in general, like if there is tension and brace in our horse's body, or if they are mentally wanting to be somewhere else, in the end, it doesn't matter how we can get their body to look. We are never really going to get the end result that we want, that is as good as it could be, if we had the mental relaxation, the mental connection and the relaxation to begin with. And it's a tough reminder because, like, obviously it's something we revisit often with .com, but I don't think of it as something I have to go back to all that often with Pistol. But today was a reminder that I need to go back and get that reestablished with him. So, good morning, Felicia. And hello, Whitney from Canada. Oh my gosh, Craig Smith is watching my live Pistols progress video. This is so exciting. I'm having a fangirl moment. So, this is a really huge lesson that .com taught me many years ago when I had the really intense goal of doing flying lead changes at Liberty. And I would get so close to getting them done, and then I would just need to put like a little like pressure to like get him to switch, and I was like so close. And then I would have all the elements built up, but there was too much tension. There was just enough tension in him, it's too scary. I can't turn and face you and go the other direction, and he would slam on the brakes and go the other way. And we went back and forth on this, where I would take like one session and like try to fix it up, like you're like putting it together with duct tape. Like, come on, I'm almost there, let's just do it. And it would just never work out. And we just went through this and through this and through this. And then I'm like, you know what? I just surrendered, and I'm like, look, we'll go back to ground zero, and it wasn't even ground zero. It was like, I took like 4 days of rebuilding his mental connection and the softness and the relaxation in his body, and we accomplished our goal. It was just like, it was such a huge breakthrough. And so it doesn't matter what your horse's personality, it doesn't matter how advanced you are, if you need to revisit and get that loose, relaxed way of thinking and moving, and that real authentic mental connection, you've got to go back and rebuild that, because it doesn't matter how we can shape or wrestle or think we're training our horse, if they are mentally wanting to be somewhere else, and if they have that tension and brace in their body, whatever we are able to accomplish with mechanics and kind of binding them in a shape, whatever we are able to accomplish is going to be a fraction of what we would be able to do if we had those foundational elements strong. And if we keep going back and rebuilding those, like, yes, get the responsiveness, go to phase 4, as needed, and then be sure that you're revisiting the other spectrum and make sure that you're holding on to the qualities of that soft, mindful relaxation at the same time. It is a balancing act, and it's a constant one. But the quicker and the better we are about getting one and then not losing the other, and making sure we have this and this and this and this, eventually we will be able to have all of the qualities that we need and want all at the same time. So I wanted to bring these tips to you outside with a pistol actually starring in the background, but it's kind of drizzling, and so I couldn't exactly be outside. But I hope that's helpful. Love seeing everybody tuning in. So anyway, just a reminder, a Q&A Tuesday is tomorrow, again at 6. Yes, exactly, Katie. That's exactly right. And like I said, I had a good reminder of that with pistol. And sometimes we need to sacrifice. Like, I assume that I'm able to just keep working on advanced stuff and adding to the advanced stuff and adding to the advanced stuff every day with pistol because he is advanced. But I still need to go back at times and revisit those foundational things like we did today. So we ended up, his loping to the right wasn't great, and that's actually his better side. So I'm like, okay, we need to regroup here. And then when we went to the left, his loping was phenomenal, and we finished with the most beautiful trotting. So we used the ground poles that I just have set up, 4 of them right now, and he was so connected and wanting to be with me that there was so much slack in the rope that he actually wasn't always hitting the ground poles. He was circling to the inside of them because he was so arced and wanting to be close to me, to the point where if I was to just have taken the line off, he would have just done circles at liberty. And that is a great test. It's like, if my horse is mentally, when I'm doing groundwork, and I mean, this would be pretty advanced, but it's something to think about, is that if I took the line off right now, would my horse be willing to circle me at liberty if I asked? And if they would be in the next county at the first opportunity, you obviously don't have the mental connection if that's the case. So I'm constantly thinking to myself, when I have my horse online, just leading him around on a lead rope or a lunge line, I'm like, it's like, communicate with them like they're at liberty, like the line isn't even there. Like, how much can you get done? How precise can the communication be with slack in the line? And then when you are at liberty, imagine yourself actually being connected with a line. Like, just communicate with them just like you would if you did have a lead rope. So those are some tips for you too. The other thing to think about is every day, at feeding time especially, it's essentially like a liberty training session. And so we're either developing the habits and the connection that we want and the behaviors during that time, and inadvertently a lot of times rewarding some of the behaviors that we might not want. But there is so much value in the liberty sessions we have every single day at feeding time. Yes. Katie said, I sometimes get in a hurry and things start going downhill. Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, I was going to mention, is that when I feel like I have lots of time and space, and when I am so mentally in the moment and connected and focused on my horse and what I'm doing, man, everything is just beautiful. But if I feel like I have a time limit, and I get in a hurry, or I'm not totally mentally in the moment, pistol responds really, really well to mental energy. And if I'm in a hurry, I'm going to tend to be just going through the motions with my body instead of being like, I'm going to get, really, he's just in the zone. I mean, is so meaningful to him. And I can be so much less physical when I remember, because we have to consciously practice it. Most of us spend our whole lives just with our body part, just going through the motions. We have to practice being in the moment and using our focus and our mental energy to communicate with our horses. but they respond so well to it if we set ourselves up for success, to give ourselves the time and the space so that we have the awareness and we can catch ourselves in the act. And we're not just going through the motions, and we can be more conscious and aware in the moment. And that's how we can be progressive with ourselves. So hope this has been valuable. Those were the little nuggets of wisdom that Pistol was so nice to bestow on me this morning. And I thought I would pass them on to you. So we'll be back, and maybe actually Pistol will be able to star in the video, hopefully on Wednesday, pending the weather. Depending on if we get rain, there's a chance I may actually need to go ride at the covered arena, which will be a great test to just see where he's at mentally. Of course, he's been there, done that, but he hasn't been there anywhere lately. And so that's always really, really great feedback, is hauling your horse out and just seeing how relaxed and focused they are. So hope this has been valuable. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 for Q&A Tuesday. Would love to have you join me then. And then I'll be back with what will be, did I say today was the 8th? It would be the session number 9 of Pistol's Progress, Wednesday morning here on Facebook around 8 o'clock. So thank you so much for tuning in. Awesome, Whitney. Glad to hear it. You're so welcome, Elizabeth. Awesome. Thank you again for joining me. You bet, Katie. And we'll see you again soon.